Does it mean I can start?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Let me quickly get my slides up. All right. Once again, good afternoon, and thank you all for your patience and your indulgence to for us as we try to get things set. So I want to put two things across. Number one, we don't have the full complement of all the students here. So what that means is that those of you present, I would urge you to really listen carefully and attentively, ask all the necessary questions so that when your colleagues get the video and they watch, they can actually understand. Because it's very likely some of them will be sharing similar questions you have. What it also means is that you will be the one walking your colleagues through the next step. So it's something that you need to really um, pay attention to so that you are in a very good position to walk them through those steps. Okay. So this workshop 3 and is mainly about preparing for the innovation fair. Okay. You remember we've gone through 3 boot camps and we've gone through 2 online workshops already. The boot camp 1 was about we finding the right problem, we understanding the problem we wanted to solve. Then we did the problem space mapping, and then we went to the field to build empathy with the people, with the users we want to help. And that helped us identify the right problem that we needed to solve. So came back into bootcamp 2, and we came to do synthesis and analysis, where we took our time to really understand the problem, identified the main user or stakeholder at the center of the problem that we needed to help. Then we identified the need this user has, and then we identified the empathetic insight behind that need, and that enabled us to define the point of view statement. Every team built a point of view statement. Then we proceeded with the POV, we proceeded to develop our how might we questions, and that allowed us to move from the problem space into the solution space. In the solution space, we developed a set of ideas and we selected the best among them and we developed a prototype. So that brought us to workshop 2, where we discussed the prototype and how we would test the prototype. So in doing so, we gave you a template that you use to go and test the prototype with your users. Then we had the second one where we discussed what is the next step after testing your prototype. So that was where we talked about how you can incorporate the feedback from your users into your prototype. We also talked about making meaning of what your users said. Okay. So if you go back to your prototype testing, the after prototype testing protocol, you see the various steps we went through to define the technical components of our solution, what we call the quality deployment, quality function deployment, right? Today, in terms of process, we are getting closer to our innovation fair. We are getting closer to that wonderful day where we'll have an opportunity to showcase to the world the great things we've done so far. And it is on that note that I want to share some points of inspiration with you because I really want you to be inspired to finish. I'm going to share with you some student projects which have gained global recognition, okay? And the first one is this. Now, if you look at it, if you just look at it, you think this is a very simple device. This is one of the most amazing health intervention devices you can ever come across. It was developed in India by a group of students, and this device was designed such that healthcare workers can take it along with them anywhere, okay? Take the weight of children, check their temperature, take a lot of other data and have it electronically recorded. The device can be taken on home visits. You check the weight, you check the height, you check the temperature, among other vitals. And the best part, it is solar-powered digital scale with a weighing blanket. And it makes it much easier to accurately weigh a baby. If you have ever witnessed how midwives or nurses weigh babies when they are away from the hospital, you will understand why this innovation here is one of the most amazing innovations anybody can think of. And it looks so simple. Even in the hospitals. Hello, hello. Let me just, if you join, just mute. Okay? If you join, just mute because we are recording the session. Okay. So this device here, if and I was saying that if you've ever witnessed how babies are weighed in the hospital, you would understand why this innovation here is a truly remarkable innovation. The interesting thing is that it was designed by students. Students just like yourself. They designed it. All right. So, and this device has been credited with helping to reduce mortality rate among low birth babies in India. Let's look at the next innovation, also designed by students. This one, we call it Simply Take Instant Food Thickener. Now, there are a lot of children who struggle to eat food, especially when it is fluid. They take it, they ingest the food and quickly they throw up. So something is required to help taking the food for them so that they can swallow it and they will not throw up. Here is another student called John L. Holahan. He designed this simple health intervention while he was still a student. It was actually a class project and he developed a new business idea and that helped him to invent a more palatable liquid thickener than those already available in the market. Okay, so Dugbate, Victoria, you will see. Can you mute? Dugbate, Victoria, you will see. Can you kindly mute?
Future,
The
we
host,
need the future, it reach deadline for the talk about the way. For the future, we can't be. You don't know
hello,
anything.
Anita. Hello, Anita.
Please, I muted them.
Can you make, okay, I wish you could make me a co-host.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, please make me a co-host so that I can be muting them as we roll. So back to the explanation. This is also another interesting health innovation which was pioneered by a student. Okay, I'll show you the next one. The next one is this. This was also innovated and invented by a student. All right. This guy was a student at Northumbria School of Design, and he looked at the whole situation of emergencies and the fact that surgical equipment have to be sterilized. And he came up with this solution. This solution is a portable one. He calls it Sтерicell. It uses ultraviolet light and antimicrobial technology to sterilize equipment without the need for electricity or any main power. And it's an incredible advancement in medical technology and makes emergency medical procedures much safer in certain environments. What this means is that any medical doctor can actually have this thing on him portably, and in the case of emergency, they can perform basic surgical operation without having to worry so much about sterilizing the equipment because the box actually takes care of that. Okay. Once again, this is something that was pioneered by a student. So, what is the point I'm trying to drive at? The point I'm trying to make is that I want every one of you on this program to pick inspiration from the fact that innovation or invention, doing great things, is not limited to only those who have finished school and are probably working in a big industry somewhere. It actually can start with you. Okay. This is one of the best opportunities you have in your lifetime to just complete your research work, complete the innovation work that you are trying to bring up, and have it showcased to the world. The last example I want to share with you is this device here, which is used to increase accuracy in neurosurgery. If it, for anyone who has gone through surgery before, either as the one on the bed or as the one in charge of the surgery, doctors will tell you that anything could happen. Sometimes you could end up applying too much pressure on a patient, and that can lead to further damage. What does this innovation do? This innovation was developed by a student, and their inventive idea was that it's a handheld smart device that alerts neurosurgeons if they are at risk of damaging a tissue they are working on. Either they are applying too much pressure or they are, whatever they are doing, if the device senses that there's too much pressure, the device vibrates and it alerts the surgeon that, hey, take it easy on this part of the skin. It looks simple, but you can imagine the great relief it brings to surgeons and it brings to patients as a whole. So once again, from all the coaches, from the ATU, from everyone who is on this team, we want to encourage every team on this project to stay focused, go through the process and complete the process, and so that you can be in a good place to showcase your innovation to the world. All right. Accra Technical University to the world is powered by you, the student. Okay. So this was just on the side of motivating all of us. Now, what are the next steps? I started with outlining what our journey so far, and currently we are at the point of incorporating the feedback we've had from testing our prototype with our users back into the prototype to make it better. In terms of next step, we'll be moving to the next level, which we call MVP development, and then the innovation fair. You guys will have a period between your exams time and October, I think October 5th, when we will have the innovation fair. That's when we come back to school. That is about 6 weeks. We will be engaging you on a coach by coach level and on teams level so that you can take your prototype to the next level of development. Taking your prototype to the MVP level is a completely new experience that you will be very proud of. And I will walk you through the MVP process in the next few slides. Okay. So now pay attention carefully. So let's circle back to the basics of our innovation journey when we started. You are all very familiar with the design thinking process. We are currently at the testing stage, and we are incorporating all the feedback we are getting from our testing into our prototype. After testing, the next stage is what? Solution, launching your solution. The truth is that while a prototype is a great milestone achievement, you cannot launch your prototype in the marketplace and have customers use it. At the prototype stage, you basically know of users who can potentially use your solution and get relief from it. But there comes a time that you need to move from just having a user to having people buy it, pay for your solution. That is when you need to start thinking about developing your minimum viable product. On the screen, you see on the right-hand side, the human-centered design. If you take a good look, and I introduced this thing to you in the bootcamp one, I talked about whenever you are working on an innovation, you need to, or you are working, whenever you are working on an innovation, you need to have three things in mind. You need to answer the question of, will this solution be loved by the people I think I want to help, i.e. my users? Will they love it? Number two, is this solution something that we can realistically develop? Do we have the technology available to develop it? Is this something we can do? Then number three, if we are able to do it successfully, is this something we can turn into a business? Is this something that we can get people to buy? In other words, can we get to that point where we convert people from just being users or stakeholders or identified users into becoming customers. If I develop a pen that can determine whether you have an allergy, can I come to that point where that pen now can be sold in pharmacies, in equipment shop or in online, and people will pay money for it? That is, I'm converting you from being just an identified user to an identified customer. That, if you can achieve an intersection of desirability, feasibility, and viability, you have achieved what we call the innovation sweet spot. You have developed a truly innovative solution, and people will pay for it. Everything you see being used in a hospital, everything you see being used in a medical center went through this process of prototyping and developing an MVP. It went through the process of having the initial idea, developing a prototype of it, then eventually developing it into a product that users, that people can pay for and use. Okay, so this is where we want you to finally land as we prepare to complete this program. All right. And to use the example of a donut to help you to understand, you see on the screen here, prototype MVP full product. Now the prototype, you clearly see that it looks like a donut, but it is not a donut. That is your prototype. When you develop your idea with paper, card paper, with with sketches, with mock-up, with plastic bottles and all of that, those things you develop, they look like a device, they look like a system, they look like a service that can solve a problem. But you and I know very well, nobody can actually use it. Even though it looks like a knife, you can't use it as a knife. Even though it looks like an injection, you can't use it as an injection. Even though it looks like a syringe, you can't use it. Even though it looks like you are delivering a service of ambulance service or whatever it is, you know very well in that form, you can't use it for anything. You can only show and tell. Then we move on to what we call MVP. MVP is when you finally develop it into a product in its most basic form, such that if it is a syringe, it can deliver an injection, but it is the very basic form of a syringe. If it is a bottle for feeding, it can do the feeding, but it is a very basic version of the feeding bottle. If it is a service that is supposed to provide emergency services, yes, you can deliver the emergency services, but it is a very basic service of delivering the emergency service. Okay, so so let's take the example of the syringe. When you have been able to use this MVP syringe several times, and the nurses and the doctors give you feedback that your syringe is too big, reduce it a bit. Your syringe is good, but the point is too wide, reduce it a bit, and so on and so forth. Then you keep getting better and better and better. And eventually you can go ahead and release not your final, your full product. Now your syringe comes with markings, your syringe comes in different sizes, your syringe comes in different colors, your syringe comes in different shapes and forms that can easily be used by anybody and is being paid for. Okay. So the key thing I want you to remember here is that it doesn't, whether your donut looks square or whatever, it must taste like a donut. And the point I want to emphasize is that at the MVP stage, your product should be able to do the basic function it is meant for. When you buy a donut and you bite into it, you want to taste a donut. You don't want to, it must not look like a donut, yet when you bite it, it tastes like oranges. That is not what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so using the donut example, you want to really see that you have a very basic version of your solution that people can start using, can give you feedback, and you can sell. Then over time, you can launch your full product. All the great companies you see have gone through this process. Even Google Docs that all of us use, for a long time has been in beta version. They have been listening to customers use it, observe and they keep improving and improving and improving. And I don't know if it is in the if the what we have now is the final product. It applies everywhere. Okay. So once again, this image here should help you get a good sense of what we are trying to achieve with your project. We now want to encourage you to develop an MVP. How would you develop the MVP? You will develop the MVP in your lab. Now you develop a real cap, a real syringe, a real if it is what do you call it? A cutting device, you will develop a real cutting device that we can use, that we can actually take to any clinic and say, look, this thing was designed in Accra Technical University. We want you to use it to to do your surgery, and let's see how it works. All right. So that is it about the MVP. Let me give you another example. Let's say your solution is an app that you are developing. You see from this image here, the very first one where my cursor is, that was your idea, okay? Then you develop the prototype. You cut out maybe a wood or plastic or something, or you even probably use wireframe to give us a sketch of how it looks like. Now we want you to develop it into a product, a very basic product that we can use. So we start from point number one. What is this solution supposed to achieve or do? My app here is supposed to help people keep track of their temperature or their vital on a daily basis. So I will develop a very basic version of the app that allows me to keep track of my temperature for today, my blood pressure for today, and probably what activity I'm involved in. It's very basic. Over time, as the user, uses it, you, the inventor or the innovator, will learn from it, and you can improve it and make it a full product. Okay, so there's another example of how we are proceeding from prototype to MVP. And we'll be doing a lot more of this during the 6-week break, when we will not be having full access to you. You guys will be writing exams, we'll be going on vacation. There is a whole planned set of activities we'll be having with you, and you will soon receive details of that set of activities. Okay, so let me give you the definition of the MVP. MVP is a minimum viable product. It is a version of a product with just enough features to be usable by early customers, who can then provide feedback for future product development. A focus on releasing MVP means that the developers potentially avoid lengthy and unnecessary work. So yes, we know when you develop the idea, you are thinking of a machine that can do so many things. Fantastic. You develop the prototype and you put so many points on the prototype to show all the things the machine can do. Great. The truth is that if you want to develop this machine in its fullness before you bring it to the marketplace, you spend so much time, so much money, and you lose out. So what you want to do is develop a very basic version of this machine with just a few features. The machine can take temperature, the machine can take height, the machine can take blood pressure, and it's good to go. Send it out and let the nurses start using it. Let the nurses tell you that this your machine is very good, or this your machine is weak, or whatever. Then you learn from it and keep improving upon it. All the vehicle manufacturers and those people you see, most of them go through this very basic step. Okay, so I want you to take a very good look at this table I've tried to develop here. And I'm doing this because there are two levels to your learning. On one hand, you need this information to make your product better. On the other hand, you need this information for you to learn how the process works, and what you learn, the what, the how, and the why. Okay. So let's take your health innovation idea, and then the prototype and the minimum viable product, and see the differences between the three stages. In terms of definition, the idea that you guys came up with was basically the concept that you came up with. The prototype you developed was a tangible manifestation or representation of that idea. An MVP will be the simplest product version with just the core functionality. So if you are developing a solution that is to help people breathe in and out, you had the idea, you developed the paper prototype. Now we want you to go into the lab and develop the MVP version of it. It might be a very simple 3D printer that you can use it to breathe in and out. It doesn't have the other features such as the AI you talked about or the data transmission connected to an app. It doesn't have them. All you know it can do is you can breathe in and out of it and you can take the measurement. Simple. Okay? Let's look at what we focus on between these three levels. At the idea stage, you want to make sure that your idea can address a healthcare challenge. At the prototype stage, you want to make sure you can create a version that everybody can see and everybody can kind of test it and say, okay, this looks a great idea. At the MVP stage, you want people to actually use it so that it is solving the basic problem for them. All right. If we look at purpose two, at the idea stage, you are trying to explore whether your idea can solve the problem. You remember when you worked on the prototype, we asked you to go back and go and test the assumptions and then the design. Just check your prototype testing protocol that we shared with you. You were checking all the assumptions and you were getting feedback on the design. Now, at the MVP, when you develop it, you now want to check if it is something users would like to pay money for. So if back to the breathing in device, you are in a position now to say, okay, use it and let's see. How much would you pay for this if we were to sell it to you? Or if we were to sell it at 20 cedis to you, will you buy it? Or that kind of thing, okay? Same thing with the future. Um, when you are developing the idea concept, and I remember some of you developed some very great ideas. You will be using AI, you'll be using so many things, fantastic. But when you're developing the prototype, you realize that with a paper version, you can only draw what the AI will do. Okay. When you come to the MVP, you can only come up with the essential features, and the AI component may not even feature now. All right. We could go on and on in terms of the design, in terms of the testing, in terms of the iteration, and so on and so forth. I'm going to stop here, and I want you to just reflect carefully on everything I've said in the last 20 to 30 minutes. If you have any questions, bring it up. Fortunately for me, there are other coaches on the call and they can help us answer them. So I am pausing for 2 minutes. Feel free to ask any question you want to ask. And coaches, if you have any contribution, please feel free to add on. Yeah, John Adelan, please go ahead. Hello, John, go ahead. You can type your question in the chat if that works for you. No questions? Okay. So I will close the part about the MVP by pointing you to the what do you call it? The iteration and the market entry. Okay. So no, I'll point you to the testing, iteration, and market entry. In terms of the testing, at the idea stage, it was yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Papa, can I add very quickly that I know some people will be watching this video later, and I think and you probably made this point earlier because I joined a little bit late, but I just wanted to make the point that when they are being asked to go to the lab, because I hear people, a lot of groups say we're going to the lab, we haven't been able to go to the lab. A good way to think about going to the lab is going to the lab to build your MVP.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's a really nice mental connection to make. This idea that you're going to the lab to build the simplest version, and it may not necessarily be, it's not necessarily the smaller size version of your solution, but an aspect of it that you want to test. And it's important to think about that, because every idea is but a set of assumptions. And some assumptions are more crucial than others. There are assumptions where that if they don't validate, your idea completely falls apart. And then there are assumptions that, well, even if they don't validate, you can, through education and other things, you can get the market to come around. And so without complicating it, if you're thinking, are you adding something else? What is this MVP business? Think of it as the thing that you're going into the lab to go build. That when you put on the table at the exhibition, it will really show what your solution is. And you may even have the opportunity to test it with the audience or the participant at the exhibition. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that an MVP is actually something very useful for the team. It's not like some assignment that we're giving you. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for doing this topic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof, for making it really simple. So yes, and all of you, if you just go a step back to the work you did in the after prototype testing, you remember we asked you to rank the needs, and once again, Prof has just emphasized that some assumptions are more important than the others. And in your prototype testing, you went through the process of you ranked the assumptions, you even ranked the needs. If you remember the example we used, the girl needs to breathe in 3 times for the device to work. That was the most important assumption ahead of whether the device would look small or big, lightweight or whatever. Okay, so you need to just refresh your mind on what you did. Now, when you are going to the lab, that work that you did, that most of you have submitted, you take it along to the lab, and that's what the lab people can look at and say, okay, I'm coming to help you. Let me use the word, let's say manufacture or develop your MVP. I have to make sure that this thing I'm going to do for you, the user can breathe in and out of it, and then we can get the results. Simple. All the other things, not now. So you are creating the simplest version of your innovation so that people can actually see the way it works, okay? So it's as simple as that. MVP means when you go to the lab, that is exactly what you're going to do. But like I said, I'm giving you all of this context so that you, on one part, you are
direction in
so that on one part you are actually doing, and on the other part you are learning something new. I'm going to share all of this with you right after we finish the call so that you can easily flow with the work. Okay. So this is it for the MVP. The next thing I'm going to talk about is presenting your innovation at the fair. And there are 3 parts to it. The PowerPoint slides you need to develop, how we go about the presentation, and what you can expect at the innovation fair. The innovation fair is going to be in October when you guys come back from your vacation. It's going to be one of the best events you would ever experience. So many great people will be there. Come listen to you, share your story of what you've done so far to make this world a better place. So I want you all to mark the date when you get the calendar invite. And I want you all to, between this time and then, take it so seriously. As I shared earlier on, a lot of the innovations you see around were done by students. Okay? So this is a great opportunity for you. And I really want you to, all of us here are rooting for you to just go ahead and finish this project in the best way you can. Okay? Great. Now, take a good look at this picture. Some of us have developed products. Some of us have developed new systems that has to be deployed maybe through an app or on a website or online or whatever. And some of us have developed a new way of solving a problem or a new service altogether. Okay. it is such that some of the service we have to show and tell you how it is going to be done. And some of them we can actually play the demo on a laptop, or we have the devices, the MVP developed, and we can show it to you that you pick this pen, you write it on this tab, and this is the way it works. All right. But this picture here is an attempt to let you get a feel of what will happen that day. On that day, every one of you team will have your small table, and you have an opportunity to just present your case, all branded. People come, they listen to you, and you share your story and walk them through. If you look at this picture, so you can imagine what was going on as these guys shared their story of what the project they worked on. All right. Now, I'm going to use the example I used in the prototype testing and after prototype testing. And I'm sure you all remember Team Historbread. Okay. So here is Team Historbread. Every team will prepare a PowerPoint presentation. So this is Team Historbread. This is their PowerPoint presentation that they will be presenting. And remember, Team Historbread is a fictional, it's just an example. So the slide 1, you put your team, make sure every team member provides their picture. The team members, so you introduce your team, just like this, project presentation, self-test kit for early allergy detection. That's the project you are working on. Your team name, team members, and your courses, all right? And beautiful like this, everybody's picture is there, their name is there, the course they are doing, and I mean, very, very straightforward information. This for slide 1. Great. Then slide 2, you give us the problem statement. You have, by now, you would have noticed that consistently from bootcamp 1 all the way to now, we keep emphasizing why you need to state the problem you are trying to work on. State it in such a way that it is straightforward, concise, and clearly to be understood. All right. So I'm a 16-year-old boarding student in Accra facing allergies to dust and pollen. Okay, so you state the problem, and the most important part is highlight the need for a solution to be developed for this problem. Feel free to use pictures. You have gone to the field, you've taken pictures of the hospitals and the people you talk to. People believe real stories, so feel free to use pictures from the field on your presentation. Crop it nicely and put it on your PowerPoint slide. So that's for slide 2. Then slide 3, you state your point of view statement that you developed when we came for bootcamp 2 and how it was arrived using design thinking. Okay, so here you may not write the full thing here, but at least the point of view statement is there and the how might we statement is there. And you give a very brief description of how you use design thinking to arrive at the point of view and the how might we. Very, 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 very short description. It should be such that your PowerPoint slide is not crowded. Okay, even if you don't put it there and you have only your point of view and the how might we, whoever is presenting should be in a good position to summarize in very few sentences how you arrived at the point of view. That is what allows investors, donors, partners, health practitioners, health workers to understand and connect what you are trying to achieve with where you come from, okay? So we are trying to solve the problem of allergy. This is what we did. These are the people we spoke to. This is what we discovered. This is what we learned about the user, the need, and the empathetic or the surprising insight about the problem, okay? Then we asked ourselves, how might we help this person do this? How might we help this person do that? You have already developed your how might we. We just go back and then capture them nicely on slide 3. Then we go to slide 4. You want to show to the people how your solution has evolved, your prototype has evolved. So the first prototype you built when we came for bootcamp 2, you have that picture there. When you went to the field, you went to do your prototype testing, and you came back, you tried to improve on your prototype, you have that picture too. And of course, your MVP, your minimum viable product, that is what you're going to build in the lab, is also there. So you should be able to show to anybody who comes to your table where you come from. That way they can believe your story. They can see that, oh, wow, you started from a paper cup, then you went on to, you started from the drawing, you went on to a paper cup, and now you have your final carbon fiber cup to be used in the hospital, okay? Then you put in at least 2 user codes. When we went to test our prototype, our user said A, B, C, D. If you are asking, where will I get the user code? Check your prototype testing protocol. You capture those codes in there. That section that made you write down what the user said, what does it mean, and then how do you incorporate it into your prototype? Okay, so you just go there, check it, and you find it. Great. Then slide 5 is you now put a picture of your MVP and put it up there and highlight the good things or the great things about your MVP. With this solution, we can take your measurement without cutting your flesh. We can get the allergy without having to show the innovative part of your solution. Basically that, okay? The key feature of your MVP, the key feature, right? Then when you come to slide 6, you want to re-emphasize some of the things your user said, which has informed the development of the MVP. And this is so important because it helps people understand why you developed it this way. When we interviewed our user said they preferred a device which is flatter and not round. They prefer a device that they can hang around their neck and not be holding around in their hand. They prefer different colors rather than one color. And that's how come we designed it this way, okay? Then you also highlight the improved health and the improved health outcomes you achieve, and then also express the positive impact on the lives of your users. And all of this will come from when you went to do your prototype testing. Okay, then you on slide 7, you talk about future implementation. What is the next step? Okay, what is the next step? Mention potential partnerships that we can do with healthcare providers and schools. You have developed your solution. You want to bring it to the marketplace for people to use it and pay for it. Point it out to them what we can do by way of next step. Then slide 8, if you can talk about invite collaboration from donors, funders, and so on and so forth. And then any other thing you want to add to it. Okay. Then when you are finished talking, if your MVP is something that the demo can be showed on a laptop, just have your laptop there and show it. If it is something that you can let people use it and demonstrate it to them, let them use it and demonstrate it to them. If it is something that is a service that you can show, try offering that service. Basically, be ready to demonstrate to the people who come to your table how you are going to do it. Okay? Very, very straightforward that way. All right. Then you no ignore slide 10. So
Yeah.
the way it will be is this. Every one of you will prepare your PowerPoint slides. We will print it in color, and then we'll give you a card paper, and then you just paste all your PowerPoint slides there so that it's easy for you to walk through the PowerPoint without having to rely on a laptop. And whoever comes to your table can also follow through what we are talking about and connect with you. Okay. So if you look at the earlier picture I showed to you, here, these guys have their PowerPoints nicely displayed there. They have their MVP on the table. They have their laptop there, and they can easily talk to you about it and demonstrate it to you. The picture on my right is a prevention of depression through the classroom. It's a service. It's a new way of preventing it. So they've done very beautiful slides. They put it on the card there, and the student is just explaining to whoever is at their stand how depression can be prevented. Okay. So once again, I'm just going to stop here. If you have any question, please ask before I go on to the next thing. And then once again, please coaches and prof. Um, I'm really happy to have your input to make it much better for them. Any questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Kindly lift up your voice so I can hear you.
Please, the slide 3.
Okay.
Our problem is it was a broad problem, and now we've limited it to one person.
Okay.
So I don't know, is it the general problem that we have to place there, or we use the limited one that we are now dependent on?
The limited one that you are working on, because that is what you actually developed the solution for, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you've developed the solution for the limited user, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So focus on that one.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Thank you too. Yes. Any more questions? Okay. So I guess if there are no questions coming up, I want to believe some of you are still processing the whole thing in your mind and trying to find the spots that you need some clarity on. So please feel free. You can unmute and ask, or you can type it in the chat box. While we wait for your questions, I would invite the coaches also on the call to share any practical example or experience or suggestion that can help make your experience really great, or any encouragement that our coaches would like to share so that the student team can just stay connected, focused, and get to the finishing line.
Sir,
Yeah.
hello.
Haruna. Yeah,
Sir,
Haruna,
please,
go
we are
ahead.
working on yes, sir. Please, we are working on neonatal jaundice. On our solution, we are to provide a dual system to support phototherapy machine. But here is the case, we have some features which has to be added to the phototherapy machine itself. But on the main solution, we have we inventing, or I mean creating a solar panel, and then on-grid system that will support the phototherapy machine. In this case, are we to build a solution which is the dual system power supply that we are attaching to the machine?
Okay, so let's walk through the questions. Let's walk through the assumptions and the function of your innovation. What is the most important thing you want your device to achieve? What is the most important thing? Haruna.
To have a standby power to supply electricity to the machine. So,
So the most important thing you want to achieve is that power is always available, right?
yes.
Good. So that also means that the other things such as what are the other components of your innovation?
Add some alert systems to the
And those, yes,
phototherapy
good.
machine, which will give
So
signal.
yes, great. So let's go back to the after testing protocol that you worked on. You remember you ranked them according to this a need, this a want, and from the customer's perspective and from your perspective. You remember that part?
Yeah.
Great. So if you pick that document, the first 1 and 2, you know very well that we can't say we've developed a new product if we don't make sure that there is power available all the time and the device can actually provide the phototherapy light.
Okay.
So you build that version of the phototherapy device. Solar panels are easy to get. Solar panels are easy to get. Get the solar panels and build whatever you need to connect it to the basin. And I think if I recall, at the boot camp, you showed me it is a basin, a kind of basin, a small basin you've developed with the light at the top and the light at the down.
Yeah.
So all that is needed is to create the power source. Yes. So make sure you have the basin. Make sure you have built that component of the basin that shows the light on top of the baby, and then make sure you are able to get a solar voltaic panel that connects to it, and then when you switch it on, the light is on. Then you can just find the basin is big enough to take a baby. Let me put it that way. The key thing you want to make sure is that you have a big enough basin, you have that part of the basin that can switch on the light, and you have a power source which can be enabled both by the solar you talked about, or if it is connected to direct current. And lastly, it is safe to put a baby in there. These are technical things you
Okay.
need to make sure you have walked through and take. And I believe if you go to the lab, they can easily help you put these 3 components together. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Pardon? Yes. So at the end of the
Yes, sir.
day, you can put, yes. So by the time we are getting ready for October, you can actually put a baby in, you can switch on the light and get that intensity of light you need for the phototherapy. And the power source is
Yeah.
such that if there is electricity, we can plug it. If there is no electricity, we have solar panels strong enough to provide power.
To back it up. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a bit of physics and biology you need to sort out. So make sure you are talking to the electrical engineering
Yeah.
guys, and them. And you can actually do it. If you just focus on it, you can actually do it.
All right, sir.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Yes, any other question? So while we are all thinking about the questions, I want to reiterate what Prof explained to us. Come the innovation day, we want to see the simplest version of your innovation that we can use on display. For the phototherapy guy, we want to see that device there that is ready. We can plug, we can use the solar panel. When we press the switch, the light comes on, and we can put our hand in there and not feel any shock. If we even push it to the limit, we can get a baby and say, let's put the baby and try and see whether the light comes on or not. So that is the way we want you to think, okay? If it is an app you have been working on, that the basic version of your app should be available. All right. If we go on the app, we should be able to take the details, we should be able to download the app, or we should be able to open the app, enter in details, and see how the app works. Okay. The very simplest version of the app. All right. If it is a scalpel or any surgical device you are working on, that day we should be able to see that device in its simplest form. It may not need to have all the digital components, but at least it is in a simpler form that it can be used to do what you want to do. If it is a service that you are talking about, you should be able to demonstrate to us how you can do the service. The best way to do it is probably to go to the field, have your camera, and then just try and demonstrate how the service is being done. So when people watch the video, they can say, oh, okay. So if we come to you and you give us your data, we can get a doctor to visit you, a nurse to follow up, and a nurse to take care of you. Very basic, nothing complicated. You should be able to show. That's why we call it the minimum viable product. Okay. So whether it is a device, it is a system, or it is a service, on the innovation fair day, we want you to have that version of your product that can show us that, oh, wow, this is the way it works. If this thing is supposed to pump water or pump fluid, we should be able to see that when you press, the water is being pumped out or whatever. And if you go to your lab and you talk to your team members, you talk to the people in charge there, they can help you. Just keep in mind when you're going to the lab, the after prototype testing protocol that you completed, you need that information to take it to them. That is when they can say, okay, we need a lightweight material, we need an electric socket, we need this, we need that to make it work. And this, we should just focus on the first two features, because that's what really does the job. All the rest are nice to have. We will look at it. Even in that protocol, you were able to rank what is nice to have, what is a want, and what is a need. So that information will make it so easy for you when you go to the lab. Okay. Now to the very last part of what I want to talk about. By Monday you receive a very simple timetable. We are working on how we will engage with you between now and as you write your exams. When you finish the exams, you go on vacation and you come back to school. Because when you come back to school, I think the very second week after you come back to school, we have the innovation fair. All the people in the industry will be coming there. So we don't have room to go to sleep. We don't have room to go to sleep. We will spare you as you work on your exam. As soon as you finish your exam, you need to get together. Your coaches will get in touch with you. There are going to be two levels of engagement. There are one-on-one engagement your coaches will be having with you, and will be creating slot and time schedule that if as a team you need some guidance or help, you can easily get back to us. We'll help you, and we'll also be requesting that we want to meet with you to see how you progressed on that. The second part is your appointments with what do you call it? With the lab. Okay. You have to make use of your vacation and create those create those products you guys have built on. Once again, I want you to keep in mind that this is one of the best opportunities you have to make a name for yourself. So don't lose don't lose at all on it. Make sure you complete this whole process and get your innovation right there on your display table for the innovation fair day. Okay. And those of you on the call, you need to really get your colleagues to get fully involved in the process. Okay. If you're a student team here and you agree with what I've just shared with you, or you understand what I've just shared, just show by hand. Let me know that yes, I am the communication is going through. Just show by hand. Let me see. Adama, are we on the same page?
Yes, please.
Great. You plus.
Yes,
What
sir.
about you? Okay. Benjamin. Fantastic. Nasiru, thank you. Benjamin, I have not heard from you. Great. Emmanuel, is it well understood?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Basiliki.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay.
I'm the man. No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please. I'm
The
okay.
other Emmanuel. Okay, great. And then who else? Franklin, Haruna, Irabna. Is it very clear for all of you?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Matthew, are we on the same page?
Say yes, so.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I remember some of you and the project you worked on. So I'll really be looking forward to getting in touch with you and see you demonstrate your innovation on that day. All right. So I don't have anything more to add except to wish you all the very best. I will hand over back to our project manager, Anita, and maybe Prof, or she might want to add on final words, and we will end today's session.
Thank you so much, Eugene, for leading this session. Please, do you have any comments from any of the coaches, Kofi, Edna, Prof? Please, do you have any last words? Laula, please.
I just want to wish them good luck and blessings during their exams, and we hope that they will keep the project at the back of their minds. If nothing at all, the project will be their distraction during the exam preparation. So if your head is filled with so much exam stuff and is going to explode, turn to your design thinking project for a little bit of relief, so that at least it's at the back of your mind as you prepare and as you excel in your exams. So God bless.
Thank you. Any of the coaches? If not, I want to say all the best in your exams as well. Please, like Prof said, keep the projects at the back of your mind and don't forget about it. We'll continue once you finish the exams, and when you reopen it, then we'll do the final presentation and then we'll be done with it. And we want you guys to be very confident in the prototype you are doing, so that on that day you can come with your team to present to the people who will be coming to watch. So all the best with everything, and we hope that you enjoy your weekend and all the best in your exams. Thank you once again and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.